mixing sports on any of the three Daily Shot programs that I put together. I'll do a little bit of that today, only because it feels legitimately relevant. Good morning to you. Good Thursday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, well, stay tuned because I'm going to talk about those as well. The Pirates have their big festival coming up this weekend here in downtown Pittsburgh at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center. It will occur, barring some sort of significant transaction between now and then, under, I don't know, what would you call it, a cloud of lack of enthusiasm? People waiting for an opportunity to question Ben Cherington and Derek Shelton, and if they can find him, Bob Nutting. I'm not being a jerk here. I mean, at least not on purpose. I don't see where the woohoo, can't wait to get there sentiment is. If there was such a thing, I'd be happy to talk about it. As it is, the very real fact that there are going to be protesters there against Nutting's ownership, that they're going to have sell the team Bob shirts and other stuff available, that's probably the predominant characteristic. That, and of course, that Paul Skeens is going to be there and Andrew McCutcheon is going to be there. And, you know, it doesn't have to be like this. It doesn't have to be a failure, much less a self-fulfilling failure. I'm not talking about Pirates Fest. I'm talking about just the entire thing. But they, in spite of things that are completely out of control being gifted to them, just seem okay with it. I refer to Skeens in that context all the time, but this time I'm actually referring to the city as a whole. Everybody around here is really, really, really mad at the Steelers and disillusioned and confused and comparing Art Rooney to Nutting and comparing what they might do about their anger with the Steelers in a similar way to some of these people who are already protesting the Pirates. That's not a healthy environment for the city's most famous franchise. Penguins are in a different boat. They're more popular than the Pirates are in Pittsburgh. They've gripped the younger generation here in a way that the Steelers don't even touch. And yet, there are Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, and Chris Letang all in their late 30s. The team blows big leads in the third period. They're still getting pretty decent attendance at PPG Paints Arena, but the place is quieter than ever. The ratings aren't great, and everybody's still kind of waiting to see what the next generation of hockey will look like in Pittsburgh. And then here are the Pirates. Here are the Pirates. The clouds opened. They parted. Rays of sunshine came through. There were doves and there were harps, and Skeens came through. Nothing they did right. In fact, a lot of things they did wrong to earn Skeens, but they got him. They did do a lot right to get Jared Jones. We'll see how Nick Gonzalez turns out, but there's enough here already, just through plain old happenstance, that people would readily get behind the Pirates in 2025. I have no doubt about that. I even see it cast about as a joke on social media, like, well, at least we got the Pirates. Or in a more serious vein, man, imagine if the Pirates gave a crap. That'd really be cool. We could turn our attention there all summer long, 162 games. It'd be a blast. They don't see that, or they don't do anything about it, or they don't care that they don't see it or do anything about it. And maybe they think we're either all supposed to be impressed with their beloved internal processes, or that we're too dumb to fathom the genius behind their beloved internal processes. But there's nothing. There's no outreach. There's no, I don't mean this in a belligerent way, because you don't have anything to gain within market from taking any kind of shots at another team. In other words, you're never going to see, for example, the Penguins taking a shot at the Steelers or anybody taking a shot at the Pirates, no matter how vulnerable they might be, because it just looks bad. You know, this is Pittsburgh in particular, the only city anywhere where all of the teams have the same first name and wear the same colors. But believe you me, that sort of dialogue goes on behind the scenes because you're competing not just for the same fan dollar, but you're competing for the same corporate dollar, for the same sponsorship dollar. And you're doing so in a market that a lot of people feel is not necessarily the size that can sustain 3 major league franchises. And yet, nothing. The team doesn't have a bleeping right fielder entering the season. The team hasn't lifted a figurative pinky finger toward upgrading its lineup, toward fortifying its bullpen, at least not in any meaningful way. I already forgot the name of the dude they added yesterday with the 7-something ERA. They just don't know any other way. Or worse, they legitimately have other priorities. When we come back, J1Q.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstoragecheck.org. That's gunstoragecheck.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
Today's J1Q comes from Dina, who says, "So, DK, is Randall Grichuk just not happening? And that wasn't the kind of move that was going to rejuvenate the fan base or whatever, but it would no doubt improve the lineup. What's going on here? Even Grichuk is too much to ask for this front office? Apparently the Giants are getting closer to signing him." I don't know if the Giants are closer to signing him. They were reported out of San Francisco yesterday to be in discussions with him. And, discussions are always progress. At least you would think so. But it's been a few days since anybody anywhere has reported Grichuk as being connected to the Pirates. Now, you're right. Grichuk's not going to sell a single ticket if he's brought here. He's 33 years old, had a really nice 2024 with a .291 average, a dozen home runs. But his 2022 and his 2023 would, and I think should, represent red flags for a lot of teams. Good player, capable player, has a history at all 3 outfield positions, which is always helpful. Came out of the Cardinals system, so you know that he was at least taught the game right, and the Pirates probably can't undo that. But yeah, the way it seems to go, Dina, at least here on this little program, is that I'll mention somebody as a possible candidate. We'll go back and forth about it. We'll all agree that we're not super excited, or the other scenario that there's no way the Pirates are going to get this guy. And then within like 2 or 3 days, that player has signed elsewhere. The one thing I do feel that it would be fair to add is that free agency isn't the only way the Pirates can address this glaring shortcoming, and it is nothing less than glaring, what's in right field, is to make a trade. Now, what does that trade look like? I, on record, is saying I don't want to see any more guys leave the rotation. Luis Ortiz was plenty enough, because you're already kind of pushing Bubba Chandler into the big leagues. You're kind of counting on some other guys, kids, I should say, in AAA to step on the gas pedal. But they have other pitching prospects that are at lower levels, and that's actually the type of trade that if you're going to make one, if you're going to send a prospect out for a veteran, if you're going to send somebody who's younger out, even if they're a pitcher, you want to make sure that you're getting back somebody, ideally, that's younger. Not just because of the blessed years of control, but because of, value. You want to be able to retain that player. You don't want to be getting a 1-year or 2-year guy in his, early 30s, mid 30s or whatever. This isn't that kind of situation. The Pirates aren't exactly on the precipice of, franchise glory here. Now, the obvious problem in this scenario is that you're counting on Ben Cherington and his crack staff to identify hitting. And if it's a younger player, you're counting on them to identify younger hitting that isn't even fully formed yet. And that's a yikes and a half. I mean, they couldn't figure out Brian De La Cruz at age 28, when all anybody needed to do was look on the back of his baseball card, wipe off the sugar from the piece of gum, and see what his on-base percentage was, and see what his strikeout rate was, and say, whoa, no. But even that was apparently asking too much. We're going to do another one of these tomorrow.